Well, I'd like to do something a little bit different this time. If I'm talking about something and you want to address it, this is a community meeting. This is about connecting with the NANOG community. This is about trying to get your feedback, let you understand what's going on in the organization, and help get some input that help us, myself and the board and staff, to better serve the needs of the community. So at any point, if you feel like there's something that you really want to get up to the mic and say, hey, Edward, I want to talk about that point for a moment, feel free to step up the mic, interrupt me, it's okay. I won't get lost. I know what I'm talking about, so I'm feeling good. So two more things before I start. One is to let you know, if you're wanting to interact with the people online and chat, if you go to the NANOG webpage and you're in the meeting pages, if you follow the links along the bottom side of the event pages, you'll see one at the very bottom that says chat only. So you can click on that, it'll open up a chat window only, so you can interact directly with people online if you choose. And then the other thing is, we're doing a little experiment at this meeting, and that is kind of a little pet geeky project of mine. We are streaming this live. In addition to the typical live stream, we're also streaming this in 360. So there is a 360-degree camera hanging up above on those lights, and you can actually go in and actually see the room in 360, pan around. So just above that link where it says chat only, there's a link that says 360 view beta. We've disabled the sound right now, and the reason being is that thing has a mic on it. We didn't pump sound directly into it, and so it's picking up any music or sound that was playing, and YouTube will cut the stream like that if it hears copyrighted material going through. Again, just fun things we're trying to do to try to give people a better experience. Because if you're experiencing this meeting remotely, it's kind of hard to feel, what is a NANOG conference like? So that 360 camera is a way for people to be able to, if you're remote, to click in, tool around, see what a NANOG conference looks like. And it is a live stream as well as our standard live stream is. Okay, that said, let me kind of move forward. So the first thing I want to talk about is the impact of COVID-19 on the organization. So it was a challenging time period. It was unexpected, and it required the board, staff, and myself to kind of quickly adapt and pivot. One of the things that happened is we had remote tools that were kind of on the horizon, things that we wanted to work on, that we had to shift around. Suddenly, things that were distant priorities became immediate priorities. And then certain things that were immediate priorities kind of got shifted to the back burner. For example, the appointment tool was the thing that was next up in our agenda of things that we were developing. But if you're not doing face-to-face meetings, the appointment tool kind of isn't as critical as having a virtual platform. So we're going to be ramping up on the on the appointment tool coming up next. So I'll talk about that a little further through this deck. But again, it's very important that we have that, and it's on our development agenda. It also exposed a weakness within our current revenue model. And strengths and weaknesses are kind of, converse to one another. Our strength has been our sponsorship community. Our members and our community has been great about supporting the organization. However, sponsorship is based upon an ROI for the sponsors. They love NANOG because they get a chance to get in front of network engineers and industry professionals and to be able to, promote their products and services. If they don't have that opportunity, it's kind of a hard sell to their organization. So it exposed that, and as Dave Siegel had mentioned in his speech, one of the things that I'm trying to do as the executive director is to look for new models of revenue for the organization so that no matter what happens within NANOG, we'll be able to weather any storm that comes our way. Two things that were really extremely important to us getting these past 21 months was, one, the PPP loans. They were great. They have been, I think we received all totaled maybe 250 plus, close to $260,000 in revenue that came from these PPP loans, and both loans were forgiven. So that was revenue that came in for NANOG that helped support us during this time and kept us afloat. The second is the financial reserves that previous boards had put together and saved for that rainy day, and they have been extremely helpful. Now that said, we've been fortunate enough that it's only, I think maybe 3 weeks ago that we actually withdrew our first bit from our strategic reserves. So we've been able to manage the organization with PPP loans, being frugal to get us to this point. But we are now going to have to step into those reserves, and we'll talk about that more in the members meeting. Education and Mentorship Committee updates. So the board this time, well, I guess a little bit close to this time last year, kind of engaged and put together the mentorship and education committees. And to me, these are going to be cornerstones as we start to build outreach kind of going forward. So the mentorship committee in this immediate steps that they're going to be putting together is we're going to be developing a training program to assure that quality engagement between mentors and mentees. And we're building this as an online learning through a learning management system. In addition, we're going to be taking the NANOG Code of Conduct and also converting it into an online course. The reason being is we don't just want someone to read through the Code of Conduct and say, oh yeah, I read it, click, check the box. We want to make sure that they clearly understand the principles behind it so that when they are serving our community and when they're out working with mentees, to ensure that they understand the principles that NANOG upholds and will pass those on and use them appropriately when they're engaging with mentees. Newcomers is now led by the mentorship committee. So some of you may have been in the room. Vincent came up and he did our first kind of spiel of what we're doing for the newcomers coming forward. Currently, on average, at a NANOG conference, this being an exception, usually 1/3 of the people who come to a NANOG conference have never been to a NANOG before. And the question is, how are we engaging them? How are we interacting with these individuals? So the mentorship committee has developed this slide deck that goes over a history of what NANOG, where we've been, who we are, what we stand for, the programs that we offer, and then also give them a preview of the program itself so that people can get really an understanding of what NANOG is. And then when we start to move forward, we're engaging with mentorship, we're engaging with education. The hope is that we can get better retention for our organization. If you have a desire to be a mentor, go to our website. There, up across the top menu bar, there's a button called feedback. Click on that. Send me a message and say, hey, I'm interested in becoming a mentor for NANOG, and we'll put you through our training program. And hopefully in Austin, we'll have some mentees who are wanting to connect and expand their careers, and maybe you can be one of these people that help them move forward. And this program will, again, like I mentioned, will begin in Austin. The education program. So an RFP for the course development will be released this week. There are 5 courses that we want to put in the hopper for development right away. There are Fundamentals of Finance for Network Engineers, Routing Fundamentals, IPv6 and its current and future role in networking, networking automation, and BGP. So we tried to do a mix of things that would be interesting to kind of people, mid-career people, and also things that would be interesting for students who've never had exposure to the environment as well. All courses will be developed for in-person classes, and also we'll have an online component as well, so we can serve both people at meetings and then also people who connect to the organization online. And for students who come in who are part of our NANOG College Immersion program, these classes will be free for them as well. So again, trying to get people engaged and as educated as much as possible. Depending on the RFP responses, these classes will begin either in NANOG 84 or NANOG 85. We're not clear what the development cycle will be to make those happen. Development updates. I'll pop in and talk about some of the things we've done in 2021. So we developed, that we released in NANOG 81, a new event management system. We developed a system to allow us to have various types of events and to be able to make them easy and accessible. One thing we talked about in NANOG 80, yes. The board had voted to make these tools available to other organizations, and specifically NOGs within our region, so that they can kind of leverage some of the tools that we have. And so hopefully we'll get some engagement is there. In NANOG 82, we released our new registration system that was trimmed down and focused on virtual events. And then at this meeting, we've expanded it to handle both virtual, in-person, webinars, etc. We're still kind of going through a growth cycle in that. We had been using Cvent for years, and we've made the shift to our own internal platform. One of the desire was to make a better experience for our community, to make sure that we had a system that worked for us, not one that we're trying to shoehorn in that was a one-size-fits-all. The other thing is that we care about your data, and we want that data not to be shared with anyone. We don't share your data with sponsors, with other members, and we want to make sure that your information is safe and protected. And you'll continue to see other additions and bug fixes and things like that will be going along as we kind of build out some of the things that we're able to do within our organization. And in December 2021, this year, we're going to start the development of the appointment tool. The goal is, by the time we reach to NANOG 84, I cannot promise that we'll have a completely functional appointment tool, but hopefully the goal is to have a alpha or a beta that you can take and kind of get a chance to play with that. Future development projects. NANOG 84, we're going to release and go back to our on-demand badge printing that we had used in previous NANOGs. Again, this is going to be an in-house system that will be developing, integrated into our website. And we're also going to expand the features in your profile tools. So for example, right now, if you wanted to go through and make some adjustments to your profile tool, you can. If you go there, you're going to see the previous invoices that you've had, or you'll be able to kind of manage certain things in your registration. We're going to be expanding that even further with some of the things that you'll be able to do. The goal is to give you, our community, as much power and control over your information as possible. In NANOG 85, we're hoping to have an open beta of an appointment tool. Like I said, this could be maybe NANOG 84, we have a hybrid, I can't say, but definitely in NANOG 85, we'll have an open beta for the new appointment tool. Plus, again, additional improvements to the profile management. NANOG 86 will have a completed tool with direct messaging via the virtual chat system. A request has been for you to be able to direct message people in our chat system, but it's also tied to the appointment tool, because the question you have to ask when you register is, one, do you want someone to be able to make an appointment with you? Two, do you want someone to be able to communicate with you directly through chat? So these things are kind of connected, so those things will kind of roll in and happen simultaneously. ICANN, ISOC, MOUs. So we've had a long-standing MOU with Aaron. Aaron has been a critical partner in a lot of things that we do as this organization, and we've greatly appreciate that relationship, and we hope as things go forward to continue to expand those collaborations with other organizations within our ecosystem, which has led to a memorandum of understanding with both ICANN and ISOC. So the goal is simple. We want to combine our areas of expertise to improve outreach efforts within North America, within the area that is NANOG's kind of territory. And this will work in tandem with our current outreach partners. There are current sponsors who support us in this area. It's not that they're going away. It's just that we know that to accomplish the things that we'd like to do, it's going to require as much support, energy, and help as possible. And I'm hoping that as we roll into 2022, things start opening up for travel, people start coming to events. I want to focus on trying to do more outreach to get more people engaged and involved in the NANOG community. So the outreach areas that we're going to focus on is student engagement, diversity and inclusion within our environment, because we all share the same problems, where it's ICANN, ISOC, NANOG, Aaron, we're all in the same boat in this. So pooling our efforts allow us to be able to do more. Underserved communities. Underserved communities, indigenous populations, underserved communities in the North American part of the Caribbean, and even underserved, I mean, there are rural parts in America that are very, very underserved. And what can we do as an organization to maybe not necessarily bring infrastructure in, but maybe we can bring educational opportunities. And maybe there's programs that we can get to have them come to NANOG meetings where they can get in contact with yourselves, be part of a mentorship program, take educational opportunities that will help them grow as individuals. And also professional development in smaller communities within North America. So that said, I'm going to turn things over to Augie, and he will carry on from there. Oh, unless you guys have any questions for me right now. We're going to have a Q&A at the end, but yes, go ahead. There's a question.
Edward, we had one question from online, and it was from Brian Johnson. He asks, for the education program, who will own the courseware?
The courseware will be owned by NANOG. That is the criteria. Yes, Avi.
Oh, that's tall. There we go. Two questions. Any idea about roughly how much for the non-students, college folks, the idea would be to charge?
For the non-students, we're still evaluating that process. We haven't made that determination. I think as we roll through, I'm sure we'll probably do some focus group testing to see what kind of the sweet spot for charging. I mean, we're a nonprofit, so we're not trying to get rich off online or in-person education. We want to be able to, if possible, have it pay for itself. So we're going to try to be as flexible as we can in that. So
another issue. Oh, sorry.
Please.
Yeah, another issue that we've had when working actually with D&I trainers is getting leave behind in the collateral. Right. So the question is the value in the way it's presented in the Q&A or the actual curriculum? If you're charging for it, is the curriculum going to become available, or is that, any idea about how that'll work?
It's a very good question. And right now, I'll be honest, I don't have an exact answer for that. But thank you for that, because that's something, as being part of the education and mentorship committees, I will bring that back in, because it's a good question.
Cool. Yeah, we had no idea we were going to get caught by this kind of thing either. So
yeah, exactly. Thank you. Michael.
Michael Costello with Netflix. For the educational mission, there was an RFP that was mentioned. So for those here who are in attendance, either in the room or online, if they want to participate in the RFP, how do they get involved?
So we will, when the RFP goes out, we're going to have the full content of the RFP on a web page on our website. It will go out as part of the RFP. We're also going to circulate it on social media, and we'll also put it out in NANOG Announce. So hopefully anyone who's connected to NANOG should be able to know that the RFP exists and to be able to respond to it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Steve Ulrich, the Arista. Just a question about the newcomers. You mentioned about 30% of the newcomers, or 30% of the attendees rather, in pre-COVID sessions were newcomers.
Yes.
Do we have any idea? We're obviously not growing at 30% per meeting. Any idea why they're not coming back, or is there any form of outreach or research we're doing to figure out what the gating factors are there?
Good questions. I will confess we've not done a good job of measuring that and follow through on that. You don't have to leave yet, because I wanted to ask you a question on that. So in part of our the mentorship committee, that's something that we're going to looking at tackling, because we do want to be able to track those things. And we're hopefully to improve retention. So if you have any ideas in that area, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the committee or any of the board members and let us know. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Edward. Before we start with the program committee updates, I would like to take a moment to recognize people on the program committee. If you're in the room in person, please stand up. And if you're in our platform for virtual attendance, please say hi. Again, thank you for supporting NANOG, for being a volunteer. First, I must say that there is a lot that happens behind the scene to prepare and build the NANOG program. Introducing the content reviewer role is an example of how the NANOG program committee continues to evolve in a positive way. We created this new role to help offload work from the program committee secretary. The content reviewer partners with the shepherd to support the submitter, ensures the presentation follows standards for recording live presentation. In addition, the content reviewer approves the final slides to be published on the program and helps prepare speaker introductions. Thematic programming, I don't know if you have noticed how the NANOG program has been structured for some time now. As a program committee, we did our best to build a program having relation to particular subjects. For example, you see a lot of V6 content grouped on Wednesday morning, also content around government and policies grouped on Tuesday morning. Earlier acceptance, this is something that's really helped. For those of you that have recently submitted talks, you probably noticed that the program committee is more responsive with reviews, feedback, and approvals for content to be added to the program. Within the NANOG program committee, we agree that it made sense to engage in reviews and voting as early as possible, so that we're better prepared to build an outstanding program. It truly pays off to be able to publish the program on time so that our community can be informed on what to expect in a NANOG meeting coming up. Related to scripts, scripts for the people on the program committee that are moderating throughout the conference are now published prior to the meeting so that we don't miss anything important. Call for presentations. Rolling call for presentations are now available for the next 3 conferences, and we have some ideas to get you started. Carriers are planning to shut down 3G in 2022. Please send us your 5G talks for NANOG 84. Another good idea is, or event coming up is the 10th anniversary of World IPv6 Day on June 6th of next year. This is the first day of NANOG 85 in Montreal, Quebec. And finally, we're looking for ideas of what could be a good theme for the October next year event meeting in Hollywood, California. We understand that what really makes the meeting a success is the quality of the program that we put together for our community. Huge thanks to those of you that contributed to the program by submitting talk proposals. We prefer to see you in face and here on stage, but please be aware that we have an option to bring you remote for your talk. There's so much for you to share being a network operator. And again, it is great to see people wanting to give back to our community by joining us as speakers. The program committee needs you. Please consider becoming a volunteer. Nominations will open in January of next year. And all you need to stand is complete a candidate form, and you have to be a NANOG member. And you will find the current members and responsibilities on our website. Appointments will be made in February of next year. Looking forward to NANOG 84. Location is going to be in Austin, Texas, from February 14th to the 16th, again, Monday to Wednesday. Our host sponsor will be Quantum Loophole, and the hackathon will happen the weekend before that. That's February the 12th through the 13th. We NANOG Social to be determined. Again, this will be a hybrid event as any other event in the future. Okay, next. Polls.
So during our online events, we started the process of polling the audience to get some live feedback. We still do surveys. Those surveys are still going to happen. But I'd like you guys to be able to give me some live feedback from some of the things that, just a few questions to have answered. Now, if you're interested you can go to this URL, pollev.com/nanog, or you can text 22333 once to join, or you can download their app. So the first question that I have is, are you interested in becoming a mentor? give people a chance to kind of respond on that one. It doesn't let you do multiple polls simultaneously, so I have to let one kind of give a few minutes to load up, and then we'll turn around and jump into the next question. Any feedback that you guys can give us at all helps. The one thing that I found in working with the NANOG community, and at first it was a bit challenging, is that you would either hear some complaints or you'll hear nothing. And so it came to, if you're not hearing anything, that means you're doing a good job. But if you can give us some feedback beyond that, it really does help. And I will tell you this, any feedback that comes through this organization, I read it. I'm sure some of you know you've seen communication like, oh, there's a problem with the website, or I can't find this. You know, if I see it before anyone else, I will personally respond. So your information, feedback, and communication is crucial to the organization. All right, give it another 10, 15 seconds, and then we will, I guess I should, yeah, because there's people online, they're delayed 30 seconds at seeing this. Okay, let me switch to the next slide. I'll activate that one and switch. So, will your company allow corporate travel in 2022? I know during 2021, a lot of organizations kind of shut down all travel. So will it happen in 2022? This just helps us to plan and to prepare for upcoming events. Since people are engaged, those responses will come a little faster. And while this is happening, if you guys have any other questions for me, you can jump up to the mic. If I can't answer it, I'll say I don't know. But in general, I'm not too shy. Okay, so we'll go on to our next question. Are you planning to attend NANOG in '84, and if so, how? So yes, no, and virtually, undecided. I hope as many of you guys can come. Austin's a fun city, and it'll be great to just, again, continue to connect with the community. As I mentioned, the online audience is a little bit delayed, so we'll give it a few seconds for that. Okay, so I'll let that one kind of roll a second, and it'll still collect data, but I'll move on to the next slide. So we're rolling to Q&A. Are there any questions that you guys have unrelated to anything we've talked about, but related to NANOG that you want to discuss? Will there be bacon? All right. You have a question, Chris? Come on down.
Hi, Chris Whitfield, Twitter. You mentioned that this meeting is not profitable, and that's
yes.
understandable.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how, like, let's say next meeting is also a small meeting, and is also not profitable. How many meetings do you think we could handle before we'd have to make a fundamental change in the meeting in order to make sure it breaks even again?
Well, I think that question really comes down to how much we're not breaking even. I mean, if it were we're not breaking even, let's say it's 30, 40, 50,000, we could probably do it for a little while. But I'm sure and I'm speaking for myself, but it's also with me and the board, is that if it happens, let's say a couple of meetings in a row and it doesn't seem like it's showing anything around, I think we we would definitely take steps to see what we could do as an organization to not let's just burn through cash. I mean, we as the board, which I'm on, we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that NANOG is a financially solvent organization. So we take that very seriously. If you were on some of the board calls when we were deliberating all of this, we just go in ad nauseum because the board loves the community, they love the organization, and they want it to survive. So at the same time, I mean, NANOG is about the connection with people. And when you don't have that, it changes the whole dynamic of the organization. So we want to meet, we want to connect, but we also want to make sure that NANOG doesn't disappear as well.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you all for your time.